to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Tyler Merkovich with Emery Hunt-Azardo Playbook, bringing you our 2010 preview of the Tennessee Titans. And of course, last year, a dreadful 0-6 start led to Kerry Collins being benched and Vince Young having a pretty productive year. They finished the year 6-2, a simplified offense, record-breaking year of running back Chris Johnson, of course. But as a whole, their defense was a mess. They lost Jim Schwartz to Detroit, so Chuck Cecil really on the hot seat. They used a lot of draft picks on defense, and they had a little stagger on offense in the pass game. That really can improve because they were 23rd in the pass game, second in rush. The red zone TD percentage was pretty good at over 56%. So Heimerdinger, what is he going to do with Vince Young now? Probably hand the ball off to Chris Johnson, of course. Ahmad Hall, very underrated fullback. Javon Ringer slated to step behind Chris Johnson because Lendell White is out the door. So I know you like Vince Young, 26-13 career record as a starter, which is pretty good. But can that offense get complex enough to open it up and really get those numbers high flying?
Well, Jeff Fisher never really had a complex offense. I mean, it was pretty simple. You run the football, you operate off play action, you make your timely throws. So the offense wasn't simplified.
It's a good fit for VY.
It's a good fit for any quarterback. You have a good running back that can run for 2,000 yards. All you need is wide receivers to catch the football. Now, the question is, I think Vince Young's, growth year after year has to be, that has to be yet to be seen. So can he make the next step? He made tremendous strides last year as a passer. He has to make even more strides as a passer this year. The running game is there, and anytime you can have a guy rush for 2,000 yards, that's outstanding. They have depth now at the running back spot with Tennessee. LeGarrette Blount, they got an undrafted free agent. You look at Javon Ringer, a guy that's going to be the backup, and also keep an eye on another undrafted free agent, Stephon Johnson out of USC. So 4 running backs, I think, are really solid in that backfield, and that's Ahmad Hall, solid fullback. But I think Vince Young's growth as a passer in year 2 of a full season of starting is going to be key.
Well, this is the most underrated offensive line in the league, led by left tackle Michael Roos and right tackle David Stewart. And of course, they got Jake Scott a couple years ago from the Colts at right guard. Leroy Harris at center was playing all over the line. He will now be the starting center. They let go of Kevin Mawai and Eugene Amano at left guard. So this offensive line is awesome. Wide receiver was an issue last year, but Kenny Britt really came into his own as a rookie first rounder out of Rutgers. Nate Washington a little banged up, some problems, but he could come around. He could be a deep threat. Justin Gage showed a lot of promise also, playing very good in some games, not so good in other games. Damian Williams, 3rd round at USC, expect a lot out of him. Both gave Vince Young's favorite target ever since Texas. Look out for Jared Cook. He really looks good as a promising young prospect at tight end, 2nd year out of South Carolina.
Yeah, Jared Cook is the guy I expect to take the next step. By them getting rid of Crumpler, Jared Cook is the guy that needs to step up and have a huge year. He's talented. We all know that out of South Carolina. Also, you want to keep an eye on Damian Williams. They drafted him. He's going to be the number 2 guy, if you ask me. He reminded me a lot of Curtis Conway coming out of college, coming out the same college as Curtis Conway. A guy that's, long, athletic, 6'1", 116, also helps with some pop in the return game. And on that offensive line, you want to keep an eye on, look for a breakout year out of Leroy Harris at guard. He's going to come in and play outstanding in the interior offensive line. You mentioned Roos, you mentioned Stewart, are all excellent bookends. So, Eugene Amano will be moved to center. So that's another thing you want to keep an eye on, that interior offensive line. But they're solid on the bookends. Leroy Harris is going to have a fine year at guard.
The defense, very uncharacteristic for a Jeff Fisher-led squad. 28th in total defense, 365 yards per game. 31st in pass defense, 28th in scoring defense. So it was a mess throughout the whole year. Of course, they lose Kyle Vanden Bosch to Detroit. He joins his old defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz there, but they add Derek Morgan, 1st round out of Georgia Tech. They add Jason Bateman, who's a former 1st rounder from Philadelphia, formerly drafted from the Texans. And the defensive tackle spot is either Jason Jones, Tony Brown, Jovan Hay, a backup, and second Derek Marks, high draft pick out of Auburn a couple years ago. Question marks all over the D-line. Can they get some production out of them?
Yeah, you look at rookie Derek Morgan and also Hayes at the DN spot. They're fine at DN. The question is interior D-line. Jason Jones can be a guy, solid playmaker, but he's often injured. So they need someone to step up and be D-tackle. You see what happened last year when they lost Hainsworth. They really missed him in an interior defensive line. Linebacker is a question mark, but you want to keep an eye on rookie Rennie Curran out of Georgia, a guy that can play either linebacker spot. Versatile. They probably start him off on the weak side, or maybe the strong side, but he can also play middle. 5'11", 233, can run and hit, a lot of speed. We don't know if they're going to bring back Keith Bullock, but linebackers are definitely a question mark. And Witherspoon was also signed to replace Bullock, but I like Witherspoon as well as Randy Curran, two Georgia linebackers back there.
Ellerby had a good year last year, and he was the last guy to come out of Georgia at a linebacker spot. Curran really had a productive year for the Bulldogs, but you mentioned Will Weatherspoon, Stephen Tulloch. Big loss here for Gerald McGrath. Second-year guy out of Southern Miss, really had a good rookie year. He will have serve a 4-game suspension because of performance enhancing. But David Thornton, is he back? Will he play? That's another question mark. So they have question mark in at linebacker position. And secondary too, Ty Hill will be the starter now. They pick him up from Atlanta. And Ryan Mouton and Rod Hood will back him up. And Cortland Finnegan, of course, gets the other cornerback spot. Strong safety Chris Hope and Michael Griffin coming off not too good of a years. So a lot of question marks on defense again for Chuck Cecil.
Well, Rod Hood was a solid midseason pickup for the Titans. He played exceptionally well. And can Ty Hill rebound? He was a former first-round pick, busted out of St. Louis. So can he step up and play big? But I think I would start Rod Hood over Ty Hill until Ty Hill proves he's ready to be the #1 corner they drafted out of Clemson. But Rod Hood's solid pickup. Also keep an eye on Altaria Vernon, the rookie that they drafted. He can come in and play right away. A guy that was talented out there at UCLA, made a lot of big plays for the Bruins. So that's another guy you want to throw into the equation as well. So Finnegan is a physical guy, fiery guy. He has to tone down his enthusiasm. Sometimes it costs him a lot of personal fouls, but you gotta respect and like a guy that's physical in the secondary that's not gonna take trash from anybody on the offense.
They're not too confident with the secondary because they drafted 3 secondary players in the draft, including Werner. And Werner helped the other safety on UCLA who's still there get 10 interceptions last year. So he could be the real deal. A lot of UCLA defense players in the league. Special teams coach Alan Lowry needs to do a better job because they were tied for 29th in kick return and 25th in punt return. And remember, they were fumbling. They were messing everything up last year, blowing some games early, especially during that streak. So Kenny Britt versus Damian Williams, a rookie for kick returner, and then Williams will battle Jones for punt returning job. Rob Baronis, of course, he needs to stay consistent as a kick returner, and Brett Kern, a big pickup from Denver a couple years ago. He's a good punter, though.
Well, one dark horse candidate you want to keep an eye on in his return game is the rookie they drafted out of Montana, Mark Mariani, a guy that was tremendous playmaker for the Grizzlies, returned punts in college and also kickoffs. He's a speedy guy that with quickness and shiftiness, and that's what they like out there in Tennessee. So keep an eye on him. I think he has a legitimate shot to win that kickoff return and punt return job, and also keep an eye on him as a 3rd or 4th, 5th wide receiver.
Well, Tennessee, big question mark on defense. They get it turned around. They have a lot of weapons on offense.
Man, also keep an eye on Stephon Johnson. He returned some kicks at USC, so he can handle kickoff return, and Mariani can handle punt return. But Tennessee is a solid team. They made the playoffs. They could have made the playoffs last year had they put Vince Young in early. Vince Young is the key cog in that offense. That's why Chris Johnson rushed for 2,000 yards, because Vince is back there. You have to account for him. It evens out the defense and the offensive matchup. So look for Chris Johnson to have another breakout year. Another year close to 2,000 yards, and Vince Young to take the next step.
Well, 4 times a year they're going to face a pretty good pass offense in Houston and Indianapolis, so they really need to rush Schaub and Manning and really get to the quarterback this year. I think it's on defense. It's make or break on the defensive side of the ball, which is going to determine a winning season from a losing season for Jeff Fisher.
I agree.
For more, visit footballgameplan.com/NFL or check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/footballgameplan.